Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. And now, celebrating 15 years of broadcasting, here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again, whether you're tuning in on the radio dial here in Mississippi at WYAD 94.1 FM or through WYADonline.com. We're glad you all can join us. Also, those tuning in to online affiliates around the world, including Conversations Radio Network, we're glad you all could be with us as well. I'm excited to welcome Noah Sloane to our program today of Social Authentic Media. He's also an individual who's been able to make amazing changes in his own life to be able to inspire others along the way, and, of course, to be able to share the work that he has been very passionate about with the world. We'll talk to Noah only about the journey, but also what it's been like for him to know that work that he does has been able to influence others. Also, of course, what it's been like for him to know that just by his path, he's been able to show other people what's possible. Now, if you're just hearing about Social Authentic Media, I'll let you guys know at the end of our segment how you can find out more information. But Noah, hello to you and welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. I'm humbled.
Well, look, man, glad to have you on with us. So I want to talk about, first of all, where we are now. Here we are in January 2019, getting ready to say goodbye to January, right, and usher in February. I mean, what has this experience been like for you, Noah, to not only be able to do work that you love, as I mentioned, through Social Authentic Media or SAM, but also to be able to live the life that you're now living?
I traveled the world, head of branding to one of the biggest actors on the planet. I flew on private planes. I did all that, and I had the best experience, but I wasn't happy, and I wasn't doing what I was meant to be doing. And at the time, I didn't know what it was that I was actually meant to be doing. And my life today is so different. I guess, finding myself in a way where people's opinions don't matter, where my purpose is to connect and help other humans and change their perspectives and change it based on my experience. It's just, there's so much I could talk about as far as that, but really, just grateful. Today I'm just grateful. And I used to hear people say I'm grateful, and I would literally, my skin would crawl because I heard it and I didn't really understand it, but I also
right.
I have this thing where I can kind of I see through people pretty quick. And I would hear someone say it and it just was like, really? Are you? But I think true gratitude, when we really are grateful, it's like it shows in our eyes, shows in what we do, shows in how we treat people,
Right. You talk a lot on your social media, especially on Instagram. It's funny that you mentioned that, Noah. You talk a lot about gratitude and the connection with success. Is that one of the big lessons that you have learned, how being grateful, how being able to have that gratitude is really the key to real success?
I think it's one of the foundations for sure. It's a pillar of mine. You can't, the only way to keep what you have is to give it away. And I know it's almost like I call it like a past life, but in like my previous season 1 of Noah Sloane, let's call it, I held on so tight to all those things, I was still blown away and by the magic of it, of flying private, all these things that I did that I didn't have the opportunity to do when I was younger. And I held on so tight, and something that happens when we hold on tight and we're not grateful, because there's a difference between holding on to something for dear life, like you just don't want to lose this thing that you think you have, and
right.
and actually being just grateful. And I think, I tend to before I go to bed at night and when I wake up, I get really clear on what I'm grateful for, and it helps me. It really helps me to honor what I have. It's like we all have so much. Whether you're the person who you may not want to hear this, but if you're the person who got like beat up growing up, or you're a junkie on the street, or you're at a job that, you know, kind of sucks for right now, we all have the same opportunity. We have this thing that I say this a lot, I'm holding in my hand, I'm talking to you, communicate, but like social media and phones and connection, it's like just to be alive is a miracle, is literally like we're like the 1%. But then we now have this way to connect with people throughout the world and access, and, you know, it's, how can you not be grateful right now is sort of my question.
Right, for sure. And no, I think the other key to that, though, and you've been able to do this really well. I have struggled with it, and I think a lot of people do. It's, you know, being able to allow your voice to be heard. You know, and I think for one thing, for people, and I'm sure you hear this all the time because of the work you do with Sam, and we're going to get into that, a lot of people don't even realize they have a voice, don't realize they have a voice that people need to hear, and the importance of that when it comes to building their business and building their brand. When did you realize it? When did you realize that what you thought, that who you were, was something that needed to be heard?
First of all, I was told my whole life, but didn't understand it, because we can be told something 1,000 times from 1,000 people, and we're not going to believe it, because we have to believe it, and we have to know it and feel it inside our bones, right? I felt it for the first time sitting in the parking lot of a 7-Eleven. My heart had just been broken due to things that were totally 100% my responsibility. Not responsibility, I just don't like the word fault, but I was the one who should have been accountable for. And I was sitting in the parking lot, and I had a moment, and I don't know where it came from or why. But like, I just realized, like, I'm going to share my story. I'm going to share my experience, and I'm not going to front, and I'm not going to hide anything from anybody. And I'm going to do it at least what I committed for the next year. I turned on the Anchor podcast. I'd never recorded anything in my life. And I said, you know, what am I going to call the show? And in that moment, I just said, fuck, excuse my language, no fronts. And that's what it became. And that's kind of like, that was the catalyst. And that was sort of like how I started, you know, my voice and getting it out there. Because I had been a scream looking for a mouth for so many years. I had always felt like I had. And what that means, by the way, is it's like that we all know what that is, but we may not know what it means. And it means that we all have it inside us, but we haven't found our voice, right? My voice could be in front of a camera, and it can be on a podcast, but your voice could be through painting or through written word on Medium, right? We all have a voice. And so I started to record that, and I just said, you know what, you just got to be real and have no fronts, and be authentic and share with people where you are. And it felt right. And I share this a lot, and then I'll go on. But a lot of times people have, you know, they contact me or connect with me, and I'm still humbled and honored and like beyond, really, truly. And you could ask any single person that follows me on Instagram. Like I'm so confident in that does Noah respond? And every single person that follows me, whatever 20,000 or whatever it is, would literally say absolutely 100%. So I stand by that. But you know, it's one of those things where I just went with it, and I didn't front, and I continued to do that. Even my videos, I remember there was this video where I put up me walking to the ATM and trying to take money out, and showing that it was like negative $100. And sharing that with people, you know, it's like, it is what it, honestly, if I could suggest something to any person, it would truly be to experiment with being vulnerable, because real magic comes out of that.
And I think that is the great thing. I also think, and the reason why I was so excited about when you and I initially connected on Instagram, to talk with you, because when I was prepping for the segment, when I thought about it, I said, this is the side of the story we don't hear enough of. A lot of times we see the wins that people make. We don't always see the journey to getting to the wins, and I think that's what makes it so great. So we're going to get more into that. I want to say for those who are just tuning in, either on the radio side or online, you're listening to Conversations Live. We're already having a great conversation today with Noah Sloane of Social Authentic Media. We're talking to Noah not only about the journey to where he is today in 2019, but also what it's been like for him to learn along the way. You shared it already in a great post on YouTube this year, Noah, something that I want to get into as we kind of talk about SAM, your business, and that is the importance of testing, the importance of tasting, not being afraid to lose. Do you think not having the fear of what other people was going to say, or not having the fear based on where you were when you were, staying in your car, or, dealing with the challenges, do you think that is really what pushed you toward the success that you have now?
I think not having the fear was one of the things. I think effing up as much as I did throughout my life, and being sick and tired of those results. But yeah, man, no fear. And it's one of those things people say, oh, it's easier said than done. No, it's not. It's actually just easy. You just have to make the decision. It's like, come to a point where you make this decision that I share this with the people, my audience all the time. It's the formula to success is you show up early, you leave late, you're honest, you practice integrity, and your number one purpose is to be of service. The money will come. It's a bonus. It just happens. Like when I'm helping a customer or client, I think I'm being of service. I have this opportunity to help them. Oh yeah, and I got paid. Are you kidding me? So yeah, right. The fear thing for sure is important. I really think it's just about it's not following the crowd as far as, listen, our society right now is screwed up on a fiscal level, on a spiritual level, on a mental illness level, and what that tells me is that there's undervalued attention everywhere. And one of the things that people are craving is authenticity. They want that. So when I started this whole thing, I wanted there to be a guy like me. I was looking for, a motivational type or an influencer. The closest I think I found was Gary Vaynerchuk. But but again, there was a guy who turned a $3 million business into a $60 million business. Now I wanted someone who had nothing, was literally nothing, and documented and showed people that they built a business and started to gain success and showed that it was possible. And so I became the person I wanted and needed at that time.
Yeah. And now not only did you become the person that you needed, you now have become the person that others needed, Noah, to see. And that leads us right into what you've been able to do with your company, with Social Authentic Media. Talk to us about why it was necessary for you to not only to be able to find your own plan of action that worked for you, that brought you what you wanted and what fulfilled you, and then to be able to use that platform, Noah, to help other people do the same thing.
When I started it, to be honest, when I started Social Authentic Media, I didn't have at my first podcast episode, and I equate that to the first YouTube video I made, where I'm in the parking lot. I didn't have a real plan. At that time, I was doing drop shipping stores, and I had some grand ideas or whatever. I had these stores that I was starting to build, but I didn't know what it was going to turn into. And that goes back to the tasting thing, which is I say this to, when you practice something, when I practiced growing, when I practiced creating a drop shipping store, I was practicing it, right? If I had built a drop ship store and then I didn't do that anymore, that would feel like somewhat of a failure, but I was practicing, I was learning, I was tasting, I was touching. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so I really believe that the mindset of practice is super powerful for anybody, and it's so easily implemented. It's just turning a word into something, it's changing the word of something. And it's helping us not set expectations and letting ourselves down, which, man, everyone kind of does, right?
Right.
So, sorry, I'm
No,
I get worked up and like super passionate about this stuff, so I end up getting so in it.
Look, totally okay. No, I was just asking, why was it important for you, Noah, to after you found your own answer, to be able to provide an answer for other people through social authentic media?
Oh, because I needed it. It goes back, I needed when I started this, whatever this is and whatever it's turning into, this beautiful thing that's happening around me, and this social authentic media thing. I needed that person before I had that person. And then once I became that person I needed, who was documenting and being transparent and showing people that the come up part, the rough part, I realized that if I needed it, chances are a lot of other people needed it. And so I realized my message is really actually powerful, because it's like, I'm kind of not going, I'm going against the grain a bit. I'm not like these guys who are just trying to get rich off of other people with marketing and affiliate and all that garbage. I'm actually sharing something and giving away really valuable information for 100% free.
And I think that's the beauty thing. You mentioned Gary Vee. A good friend of mine turned me on to him a couple of years ago, and definitely he is an individual whose style is different than mine. He's a little more in your face than I am, but it definitely, the point gets across. That's one of the things I appreciated about even your style. Noah, is that you're able to get the point across. I think that is the thing. And honestly, when I was watching several of your videos again when I was prepping for this, I thought a lot of times that's what people are not used to. They're not used to cutting through the fluff and just being real. Do you think that is one of the things that does attract people to you, even though, you kind of approach it from, a no-holds-barred perspective?
Absolutely. And I think also, anytime people are sharing their experience and not just pulling it out of their ass, for lack of a better word, I always say, this is based on my experience. I'm sharing with you my experience, because there's all these guys out there right now and gals that are, and bless them, because they're trying to find their way too. But no one listens to someone who has no experience with something telling another person how to do it, right? And so I think, it's the rawness. That's just who I am. That's being self-aware and kind of just I'm toning it down right now today, because I just want to be respectful. But it's being self-aware and being raw, and that's definitely going to attract people. But I also think it's super important to, the reason being self-aware is important is because not everyone can stand in front of a camera and make videos, right? And it's not because of it's not necessarily because of some talent. It's like you watch an actor, and there's tons of actors out there who are garbage. They're not a talented actor, right? But they're in the limelight, and they would even be classified under as an A-list actor and a top, in that top tier. The reason is because there's something interesting about them to watch. It's not because they're talented at becoming the character, but there's just something about them that's interesting to watch. And I think, if someone's out there trying to find their voice, it'll feel right or it won't. If it doesn't feel right, don't keep doing it. Because when you're comfortable talking and being authentic in front of a camera, you just know, and then that's when great, keep going with it. But if you're not, really, you gotta be really in touch with yourself, because otherwise people are people receive things over social media. They read your cards much quicker than you may think. So the fronting even is it's like even if you're fronting for, let's call it the right reason, it still doesn't matter.
And I think that's the big thing. I mentioned to you before we began the segment, I wanted to mention the video that you did. I posted on Instagram. It was posted on September the 20th, 2018. You were reflecting on the 7 months that had happened prior to that and how your life has changed. Do you have those wow moments where you kind of think about where you were at the beginning of 2018 and where you were at that point? Or do you feel as though what you did, it was inevitable that you got to where you were in September 2018?
I have those wow moments every single day. Honestly, every single day, I have at least one moment where I'm like, holy shit. Like, I can't believe that people are listening to me and that people actually want to hear what I have to say, or waking up to 50 to 100 direct messages from people asking on, big life-changing things. One of the guys I call it work with, I don't charge him, but like a guy in Ireland, and today a guy in South Africa, and these people from all over the world that I'm affecting. How could I not? Like, I would have to be sociopathic or something to not wake up every day and have these aha, like, wow moments. So yeah, destined for something in my cards, kind of, because of how I've been doing it, maybe, but that's part of just being, I think, if I wasn't having those moments, then I'm really not grateful.
Yeah, that brings us full circle, right? Back to gratitude. So for those who are just hearing about Sam, about social authentic media, and I think people will tell even from this conversation, Noah, why authentic is in there, right? I mean, because you're all about keeping it real. What do you want them to know that you offer for them as they're going throughout this year, trying to build their business and their brand?
It's really funny because on one hand, I'm such a my girlfriend calls me like a mad scientist, right? And I see around corners a lot. And on the other hand, and I say that because there's things that I should be saying, kind of like quote unquote plugs. But on the other hand, people can reach out to me for anything. That's the truth. Like, I have social authentic media is a social media agency. I have a client who's one of the biggest shaman. He's one of the most well known and respected. He's the only verified shaman on Instagram. So there's no other verified shaman, and there's a reason for that. As a client, and I have professional boxer. All these sort of clients, and I gain them attention on social media, and but that's not gonna be forever. And what I really want, is to I want to impact people's lives. I really, on a bigger scale, and I want to change people's perspectives and share through my experience. So yeah, social authentic media it's a full service social media agency. I don't know. I probably wouldn't have planned it this way. I probably would have put more content on my personal brand and motivational stuff and done it that way, but I didn't. And so, people can contact me if they're living in their car and they don't know what to do, if they're a single mother and have 4 kids and they're terrified. I won't have much experience based on, what that situation is, but I will share my experience as much as I can on something similar, or on, my mother who had 3 kids and was on food stamps. I'll definitely do that, or I'll point you in the direction of a woman who's amazing and you can connect to her. But I just want anyone and everyone to be able to connect to me anytime they want, to have a real conversation, and I'll help anybody build a business and grow a brand. That's the honest truth. And I'm a high school dropout who has had a really amazing life. And I've been homeless on heroin, and I've come back, and I've been living in my car and built a business, and the thing is, my voice and my truth and my purpose is to affect humanity. And so, social authentic media, yeah, it's a social media agency, and we are really good at what we do, and we're growing. But at the end of the day, my priority, my purpose is to serve.
Yeah. That's it. And I think, that definitely comes through in this conversation, Noah, as well as, of course, in the work that people can find from you online. Again, everyone, Noah Sloane has been our guest. Great conversation with you, Noah. We've been talking with him not only about the journey to where he is here in 2019, but also the building of social authentic media, what it's been like for him to be of service to others, and also the importance of gratitude. I think that's the big theme in this conversation, the importance of every day having those wow moments, those opportunities to be able to say, look at where I am, look at where I come from, but also where I want to go. So, Noah, let our audience know, how can they stay connected with you, as well as find out more information about Sam?
So, Instagram is, I'm on every social media platform. That's something that I did when I started. I pushed content on every single one of the platforms, but I'm primarily spend most of my personal time as far as connecting with others at Social Authentic, spelled phonetically. And you can, to be honest, just because this is just how I am, and I don't know if it's a good idea or not, but who cares? info@socialauthenticmedia.com. You can connect to me. And I'm literally here to help anyone that wants it. If you're on Twitter, we are Sam, YouTube, Social Authentic Media, no fronts. And I'm on every platform, iTunes, whatever, Spotify, Anchor, any of the major podcast platforms. I'm on there. But really, if you need anything, like I truly mean this. Like, it's been the greatest gift of my life is being of service. So please, if you're in a weird place, or you're scared, or you're sad, or you just don't know, you're just confused and don't really know how to move forward, please send me a message. It's your success is my greatest reward. That's my slogan for my company, and I mean it.
Okay. So make sure you guys are definitely staying connected with Noah and Sam. We're going to be posting the links for those joining us for the podcast for you guys to be able to click there. Noah, great conversation with you. Thank you so much for the time, and looking forward to chatting with you again.
Thanks, man. It was great.
Hey, I appreciate you, man. And we appreciate you guys for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. If you all came in late, you missed part of the conversation with Noah. Don't worry. Thanks to our online friends, you all can catch the replay right after we go off the air. The link is already available through our social media site. So head over to Facebook.com/CyrusWebb or go to Twitter.com/CyrusWebb. If you click on the link there, you can listen to the show completely for free and share with your friends from there, too. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying, as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Make sure you take out time to enjoy some good music as well as a great book. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live. Let's make it a great one.